Hi all, Hector here. I created this video with the intention of giving you some food for thought when making food selections. I took a Facebook poll of buzzwords used in marketing to make you believe a food is healthy. This is not an exhaustive list by any means and is just meant to get you thinking about the big picture in nutrition. So buzzwords cannot be taken at face value, and there are many variables to consider when optimizing your nutritional choices. So let's take a look at what we got. One of the first terms that was given back to me was American Heart Association certified. You can see on the screen here what the standard certification is, and it has some total fat, saturated fat, trans fat, cholesterol, sodium, and beneficial nutrient requirements. On their website there's a 60-page PDF form where you can get a list of their certified foods. I just picked one here, which is an edamame spaghetti. Here's a screenshot of the nutrition facts from the manufacturer for this product. Pretty straightforward. It does contain soy. Problem with soy is that it has phytoestrogens, which can increase women's risk for breast cancer, can decrease testosterone in males, and can also put them at risk for certain cancers. And so this may be heart healthy, but it is not good for your overall health. Next up on the list was the calories per serving. So 100 calorie packs, stuff that says that it's less than 100 calories per serving. I did a quick internet search and found a list of foods that were less than 100 calories per serving. Some of them included 1 slice of whole grain bread, 10 natural blue corn tortilla chips, 2/3 cup pomegranate juice, 1 vodka soda, 1/3 cup shelled edamame. So you see, this is stuff that people just don't normally eat in those quantities. Nobody's eating 1 slice of whole grain bread, or very few people are. The other problem with that is that it actually has grains, which have a whole host of anti-nutrients, and for people that are gluten sensitive, that can be a whole other level of problems. The pomegranate juice, any type of juice, is basically going to be a concentrated sugar form of whatever food you took it from. A vodka soda, nobody can really argue that that's anything good for your health other than maybe your mental health. And the edamame we just talked about in the soy on the last item. So calories per serving, not something necessarily that means something's healthy. Another term that was thrown out to describe something that might be healthy is energy. So energy can be used in 5-hour energy, or stuff that's supposed to give you energy, like Red Bull, which is supposed to give you wings, Rockstar energy drink, Monster energy drink, Full Throttle, Jolt, NOS, AMP. Most of those have copious amounts of caffeine, sugar, and artificial sweeteners, which are not going to contribute positively to your health. So the next term on the Healthy Buzzwords chop block is fat-free or low-fat. A good example of this would probably be like fat-free milk, skim milk. So what ends up happening is, again, you've concentrated the carbs and the proteins in something where those are the two most offensive things to most people who have sensitivities to this type of food. It ends up being mostly carbs. The fat-soluble vitamins and nutrients have been robbed, and you're basically making something more carbohydrate rich for yourself and going to stimulate insulin secretion, which is going to botch a lot of different metabolic pathways. So fat-free or low-fat, not necessarily a good thing, usually not a good thing. The next terms to be addressed are enriched and fortified. Here you see a picture of Soy Dream soy milk. So you can see it's enriched, but you're enriching a product that is not a good product for your health to begin with. It's soy, which I've already addressed earlier. And if you take a moment to look at this, you can also see that this is an organic product, USDA organic, and it's gluten-free. But what good are those when you're trading it for some other stuff? Free range is the next term that we're going to take a look at very quickly. That usually applies to eggs, poultry, beef, pork, sheep, and this can be misleading because it doesn't necessarily mean that the animal was free range the entirety of its life. It may have just been a portion. And also in cold weather, it may just be better for the animal's health to have access to indoor shelter so that it doesn't get exposure to the elements, which can stress it out, and which in turn will decrease the quality of the product that you are getting from them, because they're getting sick. So we've come to fresh. Fresh produce that you buy at your local supermarket or health food store can be several days old because it spends a lot of time in transit after it's harvested, and in that time it can deplete vital nutrients like vitamin C and folate, and when you add in light and temperature fluctuations, that can take the quality of the product that you're getting as far as nutritional value down pretty quickly. Frozen fruit and vegetables can be flash frozen within hours of being picked, and that can actually lock in a majority of the sensitive nutrients. So fresh doesn't necessarily mean that it's better. So the next group of terms that we've come to is light or diet. So things that use light could include stuff like Coors Light, Miller Lite, Spam Light, Light Lays, which are made with olestra, which is a whole other issue. Diet. The term diet can be used for diet sodas. There's Diet Dr. Pepper, Diet Coke, all kinds of stuff. But the issue with that is it might have reduced calories, and it's because they're taking sugar out of it, but they're adding in artificial sweeteners, which cause a whole bunch of other issues. So those can disrupt your gut biome, which is gonna affect your ability to digest food properly and absorb the nutrients that you're actually trying to get from it. So just because something is labeled as light or diet doesn't mean that it's necessarily better for you than the original product, or that it's even any good at all. In the case of something like Coors Light, nothing good about that. So the next term that is up for review is locally sourced or locally grown. The problem with this term is that it can be very subjective. So what you as a consumer believe to be local may not be as close as you think it is. Another issue with that is, what if you're getting locally sourced stuff that is not good for you to begin with? So if you were growing, again, I can go back to soy. If you're growing soy locally and you're getting it from down the road, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily good for you. So yeah, local does not necessarily mean great either. The next phrase to consider is made with. So something can be made with real fruit, or made with olive oil, or made with something else that is supposed to be healthy for you. But the end product may not necessarily be healthful for you. For example, if we're talking about juice, if something is made with real fruit, if you're having the juice of it, you are extracting a lot of the things that are beneficial for you, which is going to be the fiber, a lot of the vitamins and minerals that come along with it, and you are concentrating the sugar, which is going to be the most harmful component for you if you take it out of its naturally available form and concentrate it down into basically candy drink. Another thing that I've seen is, like I mentioned, made with olive oil. So I saw a Pam product that was made with olive oil, and although it contained olive oil, it was a very small component of the product itself, and it was mostly garbage stuff that you don't want to be eating. So you do have to be careful with the made with label. Next term we are looking at is multigrain or whole grain. So you can see here there's a label from Frosted Flakes multigrain. And in the ingredient list, the first item is whole grain wheat. But then you see we got rice, sugar, milled corn. All of those, including the whole grain wheat, are basically just forms of sugar. And you'll see also that this is reduced sugar at the top. So it tells you that just because something is reduced doesn't mean that it's good. So the next term that we're going to take a look at here is natural. I have a graphic that I'm going to put up of natural Cheetos. So I'm looking at the ingredient list, and it includes organic cornmeal, expeller pressed sunflower oil, whey, cheddar cheese, and it goes on from there, but that's enough for us to talk about here. So organic cornmeal, they're throwing that word organic out there again, but it is corn, and if you're like me, you feel your stomach sensitivity to it pretty much immediately after eating it. And even if you don't feel the gastric distress, organic cornmeal is a higher glycemic index food. So that means that it has a decent sugar load, which is going to cause you to spike your insulin, and again, that's pretty much somewhere you don't want to be. The second ingredient, the expeller pressed sunflower oil. So sunflower oil, not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but if it's not cold press, then it may have oxidative damage before it even hits your system. So before it even hits the shelf, it's already a damaged oil, which is going to be something that translates into when you eat it, it's going to damage you right down to your DNA expression. So it's something that you don't want to be eating. So here's the natural Cheetos label, and if you take a little bit deeper look into it, you can see that it also says it has 0 grams of trans fat. It has no preservatives, no artificial flavors, no artificial calories. But again, doesn't necessarily mean that you are eating something that is good for your health. I touched on the term organic a little bit earlier in the video, so I wanted to go back to that and just give you an example of something that may be organic, but not necessarily something that is good for you. There is organic agave nectar, which is basically high fructose corn syrup. So that is just one example of how the term organic can be applied to something that is not healthful for you. So with this graphic, I'm going to knock out a couple of terms that were recommended as health buzzwords: vegan and protein. So you can see on this list, there is soy, there is tofu, a soy product. So both the vegan and the protein don't necessarily mean that something is going to be healthful for you. Again, with the phytoestrogens and with a bunch of anti-nutrients, soy is not healthful. I had the Weight Watchers point system tossed out as an abused label indicating healthfulness of food. So that system of points basically will give a point value to almost any food product when you're trying to use that information to manage your weight or to lose weight. So anything can be given Weight Watchers value. So tofu was on that list, I did see that. Any number of junk foods can be assigned some sort of point, but just because they're able to be incorporated into that type of diet doesn't necessarily mean that it is the best option for you or that it is even okay for you. So Weight Watchers point value system definitely is something that can be abused, so you have to look beyond that labeling. Okay, that wraps it up for this video. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Again, this is not exhaustive, and there is a lot more to be said for each of the terms mentioned here. I just wanted to get you thinking. So you may continue the discussion in the comments section of this video, and thank you for everyone who contributed to my Facebook poll, and please subscribe to my channel to be notified when more content is available. I'm Hector D, and you'll see me in the next video.